Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chair of Intersections International Governing Board, Danita Brown.
Welcome. Good evening, friends and supporters of Intersections. Isn't this a glorious night? And aren't you glorious looking crowd? For the past 7 years, I have been honored to serve as the chair of the Governing Board of Intersections, a permanent, multicultural, multi-faith initiative of the Collegiate Church of New York, the oldest corporation in North America. Tonight, it is my privilege to welcome you to Intersections' 10th anniversary gala. Our theme is Honor the Past, Shape the Future. And with your help, tonight we will do a little of both. One of the truly amazing things about Intersections is how we draw together individuals and communities from different ethnicities, religions, lifestyles, identity sectors, and places around the world. Tonight, we are broadcasting via live stream to all countries all over the globe. Think about that for a minute. People from Palisades to Pakistan, from Brooklyn to Bulgaria, from Kansas to Kazakhstan are watching us right now. Let's take a moment to share this wonderful evening by encouraging our friends, family, and colleagues to join us at www.intersections.org/livestream. This evening marks the culmination of our first decade. Can you imagine that it's been 10 years? We'd like to thank our supporters and constituents for the many intersections that have enabled us to establish dialogues, cultivate understandings, shatter stereotypes, and stimulate communities. These have and continue to inspire us today to persevere in transforming our world into one world united in diversity. We are at the crossroads of our first and second decades, and will be symbolically passing the torch of leadership from Reverend Robert Chase, our founding director, whose vision has brought intersections from idea to reality, as he retires from Intersections and the Collegiate Churches of New York at the end of April. Tonight would not be possible without the support and generosity of our sponsors. Thank you to TD Bank, our lead sponsor. TD Bank has stood with Intersections as a corporate partner since the beginning. For years, TD Bank has supported our arts and humanities outreach to more than 10,000 children in communities at risk in the greater New York region. And recently, TD Bank began supporting our Service Together work that helps returning U.S. veterans reintegrate into civilian society, including the workplace and community. We also want to thank our platinum sponsor, the American Pakistan Foundation. And our gold sponsor, the Arcus Foundation. Thank you also to our silver sponsors, the Collegiate Church Corporation, Collins Building Services, and Azumi Hara and David Koschik. Thank you also to our bronze sponsors, Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, Carter, Ledyard, and Milburn, LLP, Cook Fox Architects, Friends of Danita Branham, Grant Thornton, HFC Capital, Jane Byers of Ideals at Work, Kramer, Levin, Naftalis, and Frankel, LLP, and Mike and Deborah McCurry. Again, thank you all for your support. Let's give our sponsors who have so generously made this evening possible a huge hand. This wonderful event is the result of the dedication and commitment of our Intersections Gala Committee, without whom we could have never put all of this together. Co-chairs, Reverend Gregory L. Johnson, Michelle Page, and David M. Valera, as well as committee members Sabria Ellis, Naja Fidelia, Marcia Finkel, Izumi Hara, Richard Rick Harper, Casey Kemper, Joanne Sandler, and Samuel A. Simon. We are eternally grateful. Thank you. Our first order of business tonight is to recognize a good friend of Intersections, someone from halfway around the world who has forged a bond with our organization and with our founding director in building a better, safer, more peaceful world.
When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the newly independent Kazakhstan inherited the fourth largest nuclear arsenal in the world. Having suffered the effects of nuclear testing for years, Kazakhstan joined the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and became the first country to voluntarily give up its nuclear arsenal. Located at the crossroads between the East and the West, Kazakhstan is home to 140 ethnic and religious groups. Their commitment to peace remains an utmost priority, along with the promotion of interfaith dialogue and human equality. These efforts have turned the nation of Kazakhstan into a beacon of hope, not just for their region, but for the entire world. The Palace of Peace and Reconciliation in the capital city of Astana is a stunning manifestation of Kazakhstan's commitment to cross-cultural dialogue as an antidote to extremism. Inside the pyramid are accommodations for many different religions and faiths. Conceived as a global center for religious understanding, the building hosts the Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions every 3 years. In 2009, at the invitation of the Kazakhstan Embassy in Washington, D.C., Intersections was invited to participate in the 3rd Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. The Congress brings together leaders from across national borders and lines of faith to pursue tolerance, peace, and harmony. Intersections has continued to participate on multiple occasions in the Congress, as well as in a leadership role with the World Forum of Spiritual Culture and the Embassy of Kazakhstan's annual Interfaith Dialogue Dinner in the U.S. Later this year, Kazakhstan will open its doors to the global community for its Energy Expo. Intersections has promoted the inclusion of human energy, that which is found in religion, culture, and the arts, as a renewable source of creativity and power. Kazakhstan has been called the rising star of Central Asia, not only because its citizens have the region's highest per capita income and a growing economy, but also a steady rise in diplomatic leadership. His Excellency, Ambassador Kairat Umarov, has been a strong and steady leader in building relationships between the U.S. and Kazakhstan, on initiating interfaith gatherings, and on developing strategies for peace. His efforts have raised the profile and awareness of Kazakhstan and President Nursultan Nazarbayev around the world. Intersections is honored to call him a colleague, a partner, and a friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Kairat Umarov, the Ambassador of Kazakhstan to the United Nations. Please join me on the stage. Just a small token of our friendship.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersections International Arts and Humanities Program Director, Chuck Obasi.
Hi. Good evening. I'm here to present the Intersections Award for Enduring Support to TD Bank. Accepting tonight's award is Peter M. Meyer, Market President for TD in New York City and the face of the bank's generosity with regard to Intersections and our mission. There's actually a TD Bank around the corner from where I live. You can clap for that too. So anyway, years ago, they had a coin counting machine inside, which drew me in because I had this large jar of pennies at home that I didn't feel like counting. So at the time, I thought that might be the extent of our relationship. Fast forward a few years, and now I find myself honored to call TD Bank a partner and sponsor of Intersections, where I serve as program coordinator for our Arts and Humanities program. Our community outreach initiative was created to engage New York City youth through visual and performing arts workshops that focus on using the arts to express oneself as a leader, community builder, and advocate for social justice. Over the past 5 years, we've brought workshops to schools in every borough, primarily focusing on underserved communities. This initiative has impacted the lives of more than 10,000 children. Thanks to the generous sponsorship of TD Bank, we are able to provide these workshops free of charge. Yes, free. No need for counting pennies, free. And speaking of counting change, Peter Meyer began his career as a bank teller while still attending St. Joseph's College of New York. He worked his way, St. Joseph's College. He worked his way through the ranks, holding senior positions with various banks in New York City. Mr. Meyer has been instrumental in shaping loan programs and products for healthcare and nonprofit organizations, thereby providing greater access to capital for organizations delivering essential services to New Yorkers in need. Mr. Meyer joined TD Bank in 2002 to execute the bank's expansion into the nonprofit market. Over the years, he has served on the boards of numerous nonprofit and civic organizations. He is past chair of the board of trustees of the Queens Museum and past chairman of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. To Mr. Meyer and TD Bank, banking is about more than just the bottom line. It's about the impact their support has on the efforts of numerous nonprofit organizations. It's about their faith in intersections. America's most convenient bank is building a name for itself as one of America's social justice heroes. And so it is my honor to be a part of this continued relationship and to present the Intersections Award for Enduring Support to TD Bank and Mr. Peter Meyer.
Good evening, and thank you. Who knew there was a teleprompter? But anyway. On behalf of the entire family at TD Bank, America's most convenient bank, I accept this award for the enduring support. I'd like to congratulate tonight's co-honorees, Riaz, Siddiqi, Wendy, McClinton, Randall, Miller, and Bibi Russell. Congratulations. So it's wonderful to be recognized for upholding the bank's mission of meeting community needs, providing essential skills to our nonprofit partners who serve diverse populations, economically disadvantaged families, low and moderate income geographies, and small businesses. TD does this not only by making donations through our charitable foundation, but also through our volunteer outreach programs, which include serving leadership positions in local, regional, and national organizations. We feel responsible and privileged to support the sustainability and the progress of our communities in which we live, we work, and we do business. It's critically important to support great organizations like Intersections International, which represents the voices of those many don't hear. They serve multi-ethnic, multi-faith communities in times of conflict, bringing together communities through dialogue in order to form a common ground. Services which we need more than ever in today's world. a world which is quickly becoming more agitated and more fragmented, a fast-paced world which is becoming flatter every day with the proliferation of technology and increase in diversity. Given the significant diversity of our customers, the surrounding communities, and our own organization, TD continues to invest in programs that seek to recognize, promote, and celebrate diversity in society overall. This evening, we celebrate the work of Reverend Robert Chase, a man who I've known for many years. I have deep admiration for him because I've witnessed firsthand his compassion, his intellect, and his dedication to bring people together to make this a better world for everyone. So thank you, Reverend Chase. Thank you, everyone at Intersections and Collegiate Church. It's been an honor to work with you and watch you live the mission and vision of the organization. I want to thank all of our TD customers and friends who joined with us to make tonight a success. Your support and partnership is humbling and deeply appreciated. We have a great team here at TD in New York City, and I'm joined by our leadership team and many of my coworkers. They are truly the best in the business. Thank you. So I'm also very honored to be joined tonight by two of our key executives, Andy Bergenza, who is our regional president for Metro New York. Andy, thank you. And TD's Chief Operating Officer, soon to be our Chief Executive Officer, Greg Braca. So it's great to have you here, and it really does show that we care about each other and we care about what we're doing in the communities. It's great to work for a company that shares your vision and passion, and it truly helps to have a wife that is with you every step of the way, so thank you, Denise. So one last shout out. None of this could have happened without the hard work and energy of Yvonne Riley-Tepe, Tanya Lamel, and Cindy Sepulveda. They make us look great. They're a great team. Everyone, thank you and have a great evening.
We're getting some traction now that interreligious dialogue is, in fact, an antidote to extremism, and that the religious voice is essential for holistic healing between our two countries. Once again, as is typical with the way we have worked, we in the US have not come with a formula. This is how we should do it. Instead, we've come with a question. How do we do it? Let's discover this together.
The U.S.-Pakistan Interreligious Consortium, or UPIC, works at the intersection of faith and reconciliation. Launched in 2012, this initiative brings together faith leaders, community organizers, scholars, and students from the U.S. and Pakistan to discuss issues facing our two nations through an ethical, faith-based lens.
So often governments and diplomats tend to shy away from religious concerns, and yet in terms of the US and Pakistan, we are both very religious countries. And so our hope is to open up that lens, open up that avenue so that people can share stories across lines of faith and culture, and by doing so, we can build mutual respect and understanding and ultimately ease tensions between us.
Faith is a driving impetus behind the actions of both these nations. So Intersections is absolutely on the right track in terms of resolving for the misperceptions on both sides by taking faith and acknowledging is that driving impetus and then just dealing with it in all of its complexities, but dealing with it.
I think that this U.S.-Pakistan Interreligious Consortium is historic. It's a first of its kind. Pakistan is an intensely spiritual, religious nation. It has an Islamic identity, but it also has a much wider interreligious, intercultural identity.
For example, when a Muslim religious scholar comes to me and says, Shalom Aleichem in Hebrew, and says, you know, I've been studying Talmud, and I would like to talk to you about it. That is an amazing experience.
More than 65% of the population in Pakistan is under the age of 30. Therefore, work with young people has always been central to UPIC's mission. Over the past 5 years, Intersections has built lasting partnerships with colleges and universities across Pakistan.
Our students were given a chance to have this meeting with Intersections International. That was a great opportunity for our students because these sessions are not very common here in Pakistan.
We met international delegates who came to Pakistan. We discussed so many problems, we discussed so many stereotypes, and these kind of programs really aid into bridging gap between the different countries.
I think we can improve relations between U.S. and Pakistan, one relationship at a time. One relationship at a time, we can reduce suspicion, we can increase trust, we can find out that we have more in common than we think.
Currently, there are 10 ongoing sustainable projects, mostly in Pakistan, inspired and supported by UPIC.
The center which I direct, the Center for Global Dialogue, is in fact a direct product and outcome of UPIC itself. The US-Pakistan Interreligious Consortium was responsible for motivating the UMT, University of Management and Technology, to have a Center for Global Dialogue to facilitate precisely the type of initiatives that we want to pursue.
An early supporter of the vision of UPIC and a key figure in its creation was Dr. Mumtaz Ahmed, a global leader in the field of interfaith cooperation.
When there are meetings between individuals, face-to-face interaction, it's always a good thing because it is only at the level of the grassroots that the people come to know each other more closely. And through these personal relationships, we can expect that some of the misunderstandings that exist will be removed eventually.
When Dr. Ahmed passed away, in March of 2016, his loss was felt around the world. On the first anniversary of his death, a large gathering was held to celebrate his legacy. As part of the commemoration, Reverend Bob Chase, founding director of Intersections and a driving force behind UPIC, received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the University of Management and Technology. The following day, the international UPIC delegation traveled to rural Pakistan to gather at Dr. Mumtaz's grave. There, an imam, a priest, and a rabbi offered prayers from their respective traditions. This was an unparalleled moment in the history of Pakistan and a living testament to Dr. Ahmed's legacy of working for interfaith harmony. What began as a handful of people determined to chart a new course between two nations has grown to include 30 delegates from 12 countries.
I think the mere fact that we've been able to grow our numbers and the interest that we've had representatives from the Pakistani government come and visit our group, so to speak. We've had interest at the State Department level here back in the US. And I think we can say that UPIC is making a difference.
The work is far from done. New relationships were nurtured during this past trip, and seeds were planted for upcoming initiatives.
It's more important than ever, I believe, that UPIC does this work, does it with a sense of urgency, does it with a sense of innovation, and also does it with a sense of interpersonal relationship, because that is where change really comes.
You know, the other is so much more alien when we don't know them. I think personal encounter is very important, because once we begin to have friends across boundaries, then we learn to connect. And that's what I think God wants us to do. His vision is to connect. His vision is for us to be friends, join hands, and do positive work together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersections International Global Peacemaking Specialist and NGO Representative to the UN, Imtishal Tariq.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Before I honor our next honoree, Riaz Siddiqi, I want to take the moment and the opportunity to welcome His Excellency Ambassador Umarov to the stage for his speech. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. I couldn't but use the second chance to come to the stage to say a few words about Bob. You know, Bob, I thank you very much for your cooperation and contribution into the work which we've done together. I just would like to say that we very much appreciate your work and your being Kazakhstan's invaluable partner in the work which we together promote. It's interface, cooperation, thoughtful engagement, and concrete solution-oriented dialogue. You know, Bob has served as US delegate and a speaker at the Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, a platform launched in 2003 by President Nazarbayev of Kazakhstan for multi-track discussions of most pressing and cross-cutting issues of ethnicity, religion, and world politics. And you've seen that on the beautiful video which was presented tonight, that he was there in Kazakhstan several times for this very inspiring dialogue which we had. I want to use this opportunity to express sincere gratitude on behalf of my government and myself to you, Bob, for your steadfast support and active participation in the work of this important forum. But the partnership with Bob and Intersection started long before even me coming to Washington as ambassador of Kazakhstan to the United States. He started this work even earlier with my predecessor there. It was Bob who helped to launch a unique dialogue format, bringing together distinguished representatives, government officials, religious leaders from both countries in an effort to build understanding in search of the common good. Our partnership with Intersections has been successful in fostering thoughtful engagement among Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities, as well as many other representatives of different religions, which we have a lot here in the United States, to advance concrete initiatives that can help bring us together to address our common challenges and opportunities. In that joint endeavor, our partnership has grown into a true, lasting friendship. And in that process, I found a true friend in you, Bob. We in Kazakhstan will always remember you as the true leader with an impressive record of innovative and uniquely open-minded approaches to outreach, to engage, to cross the aisle, to connect and improve the lives of many, many people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's truly inspiring to stand here, though once again, in front of this audience, in the company of colleagues who really invest in the promise and practice of uniting across lines of difference in our common pursuit of working together towards a peaceful world. As part of an interdependent world, Kazakhstan realizes the responsibilities it has and has been actively participating in finding solutions to global problems, including those related to religious conflicts. We actively promote interreligious tolerance within the framework of the United Nations. For example, International Year for the Rapprochement of Cultures in 2010 was initiated by my president at the UN General Assembly, and with Kazakhstan's advocacy, UN General Assembly subsequently adopted a resolution proclaiming a decade from 2013 to 2022 as the International Decade for the Rapprochement of Cultures. Today, our young nation is sitting in the United Nations Security Council. The responsibility we take very seriously. And today's gala has a very opportune title, Honor the Past, Shape the Future. And we try to shape the future. If you look around the world, most conflicts today are caused by lack of trust and political will among the leaders. Trust and confidence has become a missing link to resolve the problems in the international arena. 25 years ago, when we just joined the UN, my president, in his speech at the General Assembly, proposed to create an organization of interaction and confidence-building measures in Asia. At that time, nobody understood why we were talking about trust and confidence building. But today, I think it's becoming a very important issue. Today, it is a full-functioning international organization consisting of 28 countries in Asia. Middle East, Eurasia are represented there. India and Pakistan, Israel and Palestine, other countries are members of that organization. Initiating the process and building it from the scratch, we continue to support it because we believe in it. We are convinced that long-term stability and sustainable peace can only be achieved by building trust and mutual understanding, as well as strengthening connection between peace, security, and development. And I thank you for this award tonight because it encourages us to do more to bring peace, to bring stability, work for security. And we are continuing to do the job which you, Bob, started, and I hope we all together work collectively to achieve that noble goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my honor to be here tonight presenting the Intersections Award for Community Advancement to my colleague and my dear friend, Riaz Siddiqi. I first met Riaz last year in Pakistan at our annual U.S.-Pakistan Interreligious Consortium. During our week-long conference, Riaz shared with me his journey to the States and why dialogue is so important on all levels. It would be an understatement to say that Riaz is a driving force not only in the work we do at Intersections, but in the broader world of promoting interreligious dialogue and in uplifting the American Muslim voice for peace, tolerance, inclusion, and compassion. Riaz is compassionate, and he's a business person, and he's a philanthropist. I believe that he is successful in his work because he has internalized the desire to serve people, whether it is to address the injustices and the inequalities or to conduct commerce. Riaz arrived in the U.S. in 1977 to attend Mississippi State University for his MBA, and he has worked tirelessly since then. He arrived with one semester's worth of tuition in his pocket and his parents' blessings that God would take care of the rest. That's really sweet. When I asked him about the obstacles he might have faced in life, his answer was, I had none. I only encountered circumstances and people that helped me, pulled me up, and propelled me to be where I am today. All I did was to be there and to be here. For some people, commercial success might be enough, but for Riaz, it's not enough. Riaz is an extraordinary example of how one might dedicate their life's work to creating a better future. As a volunteer pilot for the Angel Flights and Pilots for Patients, he flies patients in need of medical care to the nearest hospital. As the chairman of the board of the American Pakistan Foundation, Riaz is working to create a platform that will enable Pakistani Americans to contribute their maximum potential to American society. The foundation also fosters collaboration to benefit social development in Pakistan, thereby building bridges of understanding and cooperation between our two countries. Riaz uses his identity as a Pakistani and as an American to cross the divides and find similarities that others are too often willing to overlook. As a member of Convergence Center for Policy Resolution, Riaz provides guidance towards building a culture of collaborative problem solving for issues of national importance. These solutions have the potential to impact the lives of millions. He does this because he knows we all rise together as one. As a Pakistani American and a first-generation college graduate myself, I see Riaz as an example for the Pakistani diaspora. We share the belief that our communities can come together to create a more just world. We at Intersections are blessed and honored to call Riaz Siddiqi our colleague and our friend. His story and his success are inspiring to all. I cannot think of an individual more deserving to be recognized for their service at the intersection of economic justice and human development across lines of faith and national borders. Please join me in celebrating the life and work of Mr. Riaz Siddiqi.
She said it all, and I was wondering who she was talking about. So I want to thank TD, all the sponsors, and His Excellency the Ambassador, and my family sitting here, and my friends. And my friends who have flown in from out of town to share this moment with us. But most of all, I really want to appreciate Bob. Bob is the driving force behind this vision that ultimately manifests itself in this organization called Intersections, and all the achievements that you hear about today, will hear about, would not have been possible without Bob. So I really want, Bob, would you please just stand up for a second? Okay, having said that, if I've forgotten to say thanks to anybody, I apologize. I do thank you, though. I truly don't know why I'm standing here. Because if I look at the things that I am rumored to have done, they were simply an expression of a DNA-level instinct to do, to serve, as a result of some driving force from within, but also teachings of parents. So I just do. So the fact that I'm standing here before you must have a different purpose than to honor me, because I'm not worthy of honor. So I'm struggling to find what that purpose is. And I think that purpose is our being here at this point in time in this momentous time in history together. That's one purpose. But I think recent events, some 2 years ago and some last Friday, tell me that I'm here to be the voice of a constituency that we speak about in passing, but that generally doesn't get heard in gatherings like this. Let me tell you who that constituency is. 2 years ago, my wife and I welcomed our first grandchild, Zainab Iman Khan, born in Houston, March 27th, 2 years ago. And I looked into her eyes. Before I said the azan to her, that's the Muslim tradition when a child is born, you give the call to prayer in their ears. But before I did that, I looked into her eyes. And I am telling you something very personal. I was overcome with two really conflicting emotions. One, I was overjoyed. You can imagine that. But literally in the next moment, I was thrown into depths of despondency. And I was asking myself, what kind of a world have we brought you into? So that was one very momentous event in my life and my wife's life. And that, at that time, before I said the azan to her, I pledged, I will be your voice. I will speak for you. So that was one incident. The second one was one which I might break down here, and I might be tearful, and I might embarrass my wife, but I do it, you know. So you got to live with it. Last Friday, I helped lay my niece, the eldest child of us 3 siblings. She was the eldest. I helped lay her to rest in her final resting place. And I mean physically handled her casket, her body, laid her to rest. And I found myself again saying, I have to do something to be a continuer of your life and your legacy. So I made a promise to a young lady, a child, 2 years ago. I made a promise to another young lady at her passing last Friday. That's what brings me here today. I think the purpose of my being here is to exhort you all to recognize the irony that we continue to bring into this world new life in the form of babies who then grow up to be young boys and girls and then go up to be adults. While simultaneously, we create the conditions in this world where all the revelations about doomsday that have been foretold by the prophets and by the books, we are actually the agents that make the probability of those cataclysmic events more and more real. How ironic is that? So, what I'm here to suggest to you is let's each one of us here commit ourselves to doing everything in our power to remove this irony, this paradox from our existence. I would encourage each one of you, every day, think about that child that is dearest to you. Could be your own son, daughter, granddaughter. Think about them. And on their behalf, pledge yourself to serve as many youngsters as you can in as many ways as you can. And number two, I have an entreaty of intersections. You have now mastered the science of coalition building. You have now mastered the science of bringing disparate cultures, disparate races, disparate faiths together. Why don't we make this constituency of children the subject of a targeted initiative where all this technology and science that has brought forth such magical results at the level of adults, let's focus it at children. Remember, when these children are born, they don't know black from white. They don't know Muslim from Jew. They don't know gay from straight. We take those biases and burden them with them, right? So isn't it possible that we effect enough insulation in them so they can insulate themselves against the biases we transfer to them? And perhaps in the course of that journey, maybe we make a better us. All those in favor of those two propositions say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. On that high note, pledge yourself to write the biggest check that you can for intersections so this initiative can be implemented, developed, and made to go viral. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Mills.
There's fire on the mountain, so run, boys, run. Grab your guns, be the ones to save your daughters and your sons. The time is right. Save your wives while there's still light. If we don't move now, we might not make it out alive. We've come to rob, come to destroy. Well, do your job, never let them take away anything that we love. So here we go, enjoy the show. There's peace among this altar, like a lamb among the slaughter. We might live, we might die. I'm running towards the front lines. I'm running towards a new life. We made it out alive, but did we survive? Battle axe in hands and war scars in our minds. Before I die, remind me to say exactly what happened those fateful bloody days. So here we go, enjoy the show. There's peace among this altar, like a lamb among the slaughter. We might live on, we might die. I'm running towards the front lines, running towards. So here we go, enjoy the show. There's peace among this altar, like a lamb among the slaughter. We might live on, and everyone dies, but we're running towards the front line. We're running towards a new life.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersections International Program Manager for Service Together, Molly Pearl.
It's an honor to be here this evening celebrating Intersections' 10-year anniversary. And tonight I have the immense privilege of presenting the award for exceptional service to the veterans community to the President and CEO of Black Veterans for Social Justice, Wendy McClinton. Of course, I stand before you tonight holding on to the truth that we are still engaged in the longest war in our nation's history. Over the last 16 years, our nation's veterans have returned home to face challenges ranging from mental, emotional, and physical wounds to homelessness and unemployment, moral injury, and the search for acceptance from their civilian peers. These challenges are not new. They are well known to our predecessors, the men and women who served in the Gulf War and in Vietnam. In the face of what may seem like insurmountable odds, certain individuals and organizations rise to the occasion. You see, there are veterans organizations that administer benefits, make referrals, and pay lip service to patriotism and sacrifice. And then there are those that see the whole veteran, who walk with them in service and who understand that an investment in veterans and their families is an investment in the well-being of our communities. And so it is with Black Veterans for Social Justice. Under the leadership of Wendy McClinton, BVSJ continues to build on a strong legacy of providing holistic and meaningful services to New York City's veterans. From running a food pantry to providing mentorship, job readiness training, housing assistance, legal services, free flu vaccines, tax preparation services, along with a host of other benefits, BVSJ is there at every step for veterans and their families. Beyond this, BVSJ works at the intersection of service, race, class, gender, and ability. They do the vital work of caring for our service members who did not return home to fanfare and who were not afforded the same access to benefits and services as their white peers. I cannot, in truth, think of another organization that more accurately fulfills Lincoln's call to action to care for them who shall have borne the battle and for their widow and their orphan. And I'd like to close on a personal note of appreciation for Ms. McClinton. You see, 3 years ago, my husband and I returned to Brooklyn after he completed his service in the Army. And our reintegration journey was anything but smooth. But one afternoon, my husband ran into another veteran on our street who just so happened to be a member of Black Veterans for Social Justice. And they got to talking, and this veteran invited my husband to stop by and spend time with them. And unbeknownst to us, we actually lived around the corner from the BVSJ office. So this vet, this member of BVSJ, was the first person to truly say, "Welcome home, we have a place for you here." For that, I am eternally thankful. So on behalf of Intersections and New York City's veterans and their families, I am so pleased to present the award for exceptional service to the veterans community to Wendy McClinton.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Intersections International, its governing board, its Gala committee, its extraordinary staff, to the honorees for having belief and confidence in me to nominate me for this prestigious award. At Black Veterans for Social Justice, we recognize that people, especially veterans, are very diverse and complex, and there's no one-size-fits-all to address their many, many needs. I am so fortunate to work alongside an indefatigable staff who are compassionate and understanding enough to meet veterans where they are. They are to endow the services that they need with gratitude and indebtedness, and for the sacrifices that they have made to protect the United States of America. With this award bestowed upon me, I feel even a greater challenge and a press to create a vision of advantages and to help our veteran population, embracing each day with an opportunity to do better, to serve more, and to empower others to do the same with hope, expectancy, a tender loving care, and a listening ear. And before I exit, I have to thank Intersections International, because they were the first organization to bridge the gap between military and civilian life. It was with, thank you. It was Reverend Chase, and along with his other colleagues, that found the need that there had to be a civilian dialogue. There had to be a discussion on how individuals like yourselves could now bridge the gap between military and civilian life. How can we welcome them home? How can we provide services? How can we meet them where they're at? And they were the ones that opened that dialogue, and now there's a gambit of services and resources for them, their families, the community. And I thank you so much for providing that tender loving care and a listening ear. Remember, it's forward ever, backwards never. May God bless you and keep you. May his light forever shine upon you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersections founding director, Reverend Bob Chase.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for that warm welcome. I deeply appreciate it. I'd be remiss if I did not add my words to Danita's and say thank you to all who've made this evening possible, to each of you who've come to celebrate with us as we stand on the brink of our second decade, to our lead sponsor, TD Bank, our first corporate sponsor almost a decade ago, and who has stayed with us since. Thank you, Peter, and your entire organization for your support. And to our generous sponsors who Danita mentioned earlier, and to Danita Branham herself, the extraordinarily generous time, talent, and treasure chair of our governing board. Please give Danita a warm and enthusiastic round of applause. And to all the members of our Board of Governors who give tirelessly to ensure that Intersections stays on a firm footing while soaring into the future. Can our board members stand where they are so they can be recognized? Marvin. Thanks to our incredible awardees, to TD Bank, to Randall Miller. Randall, where are you? Randall Miller. I am so honored that we are recognizing you for your role as an advocate for LGBTQ inclusion. There are still miles to go for full justice for all. But the landscape has shifted markedly this past decade, and you have been one of the individuals who have shaped that shift. Your advocacy made Believe Out Loud possible. Thank you for being with us in this struggle. And Wendy, what a joy it is to reconnect after these years and to have the opportunity to express my gratitude for your believing in us and in our Veteran Civilian Dialogue program so long ago. Riaz, you defined for me what it means to do good by doing well. You are an inspiration to me that spans the continents, and I look forward to future cooperation, my friend, cooperation which has already begun. And Bibi Russell, when we first met in Kazakhstan, remember we met in Kazakhstan, and I introduced myself, and you said, I'm Bibi Russell, and I said, oh, so what do you do? And she looked at me, and she said 2 words, Google me. You remember? And I did, and wow. You see, one of the problems in America is that our vision tends to extend only to our borders, and we don't think internationally. And we have with us a true international star, and I'm thrilled that you can be with us here tonight. And then, my friend Kairat Umarov, you have trusted me enough to let me into your life in some very personal ways. Your recognition here tonight only begins to express my appreciation for that trust. Thank you. It has taken a whole village behind the scenes to make this evening possible. To our staff, our colleagues and consultants who put all the pieces together, to your talent and dedication, I am deeply grateful. To B-Season for your fundraising and administrative expertise. To our management team, Tracy Hyder-Suffern, Lucretia Holden, and Fareed Johnson. And to Betsy McKaylee, producer of the commemorative Gala Journal and filler of so many gaps, we are a great team, and I thank you so much. I'm especially grateful to Joe and Chiara Parlagreco, who have once again demonstrated their enormous creativity as producers of tonight's program. Thanks, guys, for being with us. And finally, to my incredible wife, Blythe, the wind beneath my wings, who is patient beyond measure and whose support has enabled me to be here tonight before you. So I ask, what is a decade? Measured against the enduring values of antiquity, it is but a moment. Moses wandered the wilderness 4 times that long. The Gettysburg Address recalls an era more than 8 times that. And it's been 16 times as long since, and yet still we are plagued by racism and all those isms that keep us from being one human family. Our Lenape friends remind us that program effectiveness is measured not in years or even in decades, but in the impact on 7 generations. Indeed, our Healing Turtle Island atonement ceremony measured a period of suffering 40 times as great as a single decade. And yet for each of us, a decade is a measurable part of our lifespan and offers an opportunity, a comma in time, if you will, when we can take stock in ourselves, in our world, and in the way we have engaged the circle of life close to us and across the planet. 10 years ago, Intersections was created by visionaries in the collegiate church who were offended by the idea that humankind should be separated into exclusive, defensive silos. There are no red states, no blue states, we were told by a little-known senator from Illinois. And the leaders of the collegiate church responded, and Intersections was formed with the express purpose of bringing people together across lines of difference. From the very beginning, we demonstrated that this would be a unique initiative. My installation as founding director was held not in a religious setting, but at the Hayden Planetarium, that secular bastion of science and technology. This was not an accident. And we did two things right away. We declared that our ministry was interreligious in its expression, an innovative concept in Christendom, unapologetically Christian and unabashedly interfaith. And we added the word justice to our mandate. For without justice, true and lasting peace and reconciliation become either myth or mirage. And so for the next 10 years, we built relationships, we shattered stereotypes, and we engaged in dialogue and action to find common ground. We helped heal the military-civilian divide with our groundbreaking veteran-civilian dialogues. We went to Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria during the Iraqi refugee crisis, not with academics or journalists, but with artists, to tell the compelling story of refugees in ways that touched the hearts and minds of American audiences. We addressed the rift between the Muslim and non-Muslim world with our highly acclaimed website, ChangeTheStory.net. We became advocates during the so-called Ground Zero Mosque controversy, affirming our Muslim brothers and sisters' right to pray and to worship wherever they chose. And a year later, we were the catalyst for an effort called Prepare New York, engaging tens of thousands with a message of hope for the future on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And we reached halfway across the world, to the Middle East, and to Kazakhstan, and to Pakistan. We offered a positive, theologically grounded framework where LGBTQ people of faith could affirm both their religious selves and their queer identities. We employed innovative theatrical techniques to address community policing and music and in movement to help young children in communities at risk find their voice and clap and sing and bounce into self-empowerment. 3 weeks ago, we returned from Pakistan, our 6th trip there, building relationships across national borders fraught with fear and mistrust. It was our largest delegation to date, more than 30 delegates from 12 countries. We reviewed some of the ongoing work. We heard from experts about the impact of these uncertain times on religious minorities and planted seeds for new projects. While there, we honored the memory of Dr. Mumtaz Ahmed from the International Islamic University in Islamabad and one of the founders of UPIC. At his rural graveside, an imam, a rabbi, and a Catholic priest said prayers in honor of his memory, a first, we are told, in that country. The following Friday evening, Muslims and Christians and Jews held Shabbat prayers in the restaurant of the Serena Hotel in Islamabad, a very public setting for a very personal testimony. When we say about Intersections, change starts here, this is what we mean. Shifts in social mores and national policies begin in these intimate, interpersonal moments and experiences. as we counter hateful rhetoric domestically and engage an uncertain world geopolitically, we realize that Intersections was created for just such a time as this. The world needs us now more than ever. And when I think about the last 10 years of my vocational life and the work we've done together, I am deeply passionate about and proud of the accomplishments that we've had. At the beginning, I sought to create an initiative that would long outlive my tenure, one that would make a real impact on lives and communities, and that would be sustained over time. I am so blessed by the incredible people I have met, individuals who speak from the margins and who seek to find their voice in the center. Thanks, Gordon, for that image. And then have their voice count. It is about caregivers and daredevils, often within the same person, who put themselves on the line for their beliefs and their friends. It is remarkable to me how these individuals, you, continue to move on the cutting edge of justice and human dignity, because it is about you, my friends and supporters of this grand experiment. It is about you and the last 10 years as we have forged a past, and about the 10 years to come when you will shape the future in ways still unplanned and unimagined. You are what make Intersections so exciting and so enduring. You who make it breathe and blossom into action that makes a difference in our world. It is you who touch this work with your creativity, your intellect, your spirit, and your love, and who let your lives be touched in return. This is how we explore who we are, what we believe, and how we are called to action by our Creator, by whom all names is known. We are called to share our stories of triumph and tragedy, sometimes with complete strangers, so we can discover our common humanity. We are called not only to understand intellectually, but experience personally what it means to live at the intersection. And so, my friends, I offer these words on this singular step along a very long journey to our wise and thoughtful leadership council, to our dedicated and selfless governing board, to our caring and creative staff, my colleagues and friends who often blaze the trail of peace with justice down pathways I have not yet discerned, to my senior minister colleagues, Michael and Jackie. We have been through so much together, and your friendship and support cannot really be measured in words. To Casey Kemper, so essential in bringing us to this place, and to the whole collegiate church for your ongoing prophetic vision. For all that has been, I say thank you. I thank you more than you can imagine, and I await with you the astounding things that are yet to come. Godspeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, Timothy Dwight.
Hello. So I am your after-dinner entertainment. My name is Timothy Dwight. However, before I begin, I'm a spoken word artist, which means I say poems. However, this is not your Walt Whitman poetry hour. So if you hear something you like that shocks you or surprises you, I want you to feel free to say ooh. Okay, that's pretty good. Ah. Better. Wow. Better. Nice. And whatever else the Spirit leads you. I want to thank Believe Out Loud for having me. Yes. And here's my poem. On day one, God said, "Let there be light," and then pulled up my Uber driver. And this was the first miracle because my phone died shortly after making my request, so I had no idea of my car's location, but isn't that fitting of a God? To be both unseen and on his way, but Ahmed wasn't any God. Just a middle-aged Pakistani man with an affinity for Cuban cigars and small talk, and on day two, God made the stars. So we can both rate an Uber driver's performance and make a night sky look litty, but this was also the first time God saw it fit to force something big and black to carry a bunch of dying things inside of it. But believe me, it certainly wasn't the last. So on day three, God made Facebook Messenger. And this is the story of how I met him. The boy who was also a pastor, which means I fell in love with a man who's in love with another man, yet still have the nerve to call our relationship monogamous. But maybe this is where the Uber driver comes in. Maybe this is just my HBO taxi cab confessional, or perhaps just another bad religion, but how could this be bad when he makes me unafraid to close my eyes when I pray? But this isn't about fear, I suppose. Just a boy with the blood filled with tambourines and HIV, and on day 4, God made T cells, but did not let us all keep them. And this is the story of the one tree that grew in Brooklyn because no one cared to water the rest. Translation, this is the second time God saw it fit to force something big and black to carry a bunch of dying things inside of it. On day 5, God called in sick while Ahmed and I were stuck in traffic. And I imagine this is how Jonah must have felt sitting inside of that well. And on day 6, God sold pre-peeled oranges in Whole Foods on 125th Street. And this is the only way I could bring myself to talk about the hospital and the boy on the stretcher who belongs to me, but it's already been unraveled by so many other hands. And on day 7, the boy finally opens up his eyes and whispers to the nurse that he misses home. And I smile because I know he's talking about me. And it was in this moment, watching us, that gave God the idea for love and made him promise to never flood the world again. Translation, boy, I am ready to tear down all these walls I have built to let you in, boy. I offer you my heart, a safe house. Here you can stay always, boy. I will love you if you will still have me, because what was the point of the 7th day if it weren't just God's way of saying, I'm sorry. It took me so long in the first place. Thank you so very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersections International Program Director for Believe Out Loud, Dr. Keisha E. McKenzie.
Good evening. Thank you, Timothy. I'm Keisha McKenzie, the director of Believe Out Loud. Believe Out Loud is a program of intersections that unites Christianity and the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual community through an online network and empowers Christians to work for LGBTQIA justice. We are the leading platform, digital, in Christian faith and LGBTQIA advocacy, and it is my distinct joy tonight to honor Dr. Randall Miller at Intersection's 10th anniversary gala tonight. Dr. Miller isn't the kind of person who trumpets his own contributions, so I talked to some of his current and former colleagues in the LGBTQIA Christian and social justice communities. So this is our common testimony about him. Dr. Miller, known to his friends and colleagues as Randall, has worked for justice throughout his career. For 3 decades, on church stages, on direct action front lines, and behind closed doors, he has challenged his native United Methodist Church to demonstrate to LGBTQIA people the love and compassion and justice that it first taught him. His peers in the UMC's National Affirmation Council and Reconciling Ministries Network described him to me as strategic, tenacious, kind, and tall, a movement leader whose calm and grounded presence has helped affirming, reconciling Christians to focus on the call to full inclusion, despite significant political and social backlash. The 2005 gathering, Hearts on Fire, which was protested by the Ku Klux Klan, gave a generation of LGBTQIA Methodist advocates and straight allies a space where they could affirm their sexual gender identities and integrate them with service in their faith community. Randall taught at this gathering in the mountains of North Carolina and invited attendees there to fund the LGBTQIA affirming movement. Randall's work as a trainer and fundraiser at Lake Junaluska foreshadowed his later work in education at the Pacific School of Religion and sustainable advocacy and philanthropy at social and global justice foundations such as TIDES in San Francisco, the National Task Force on AIDS Prevention, the Evelyn and Walter Haas Jr. Fund, and the Arcus Foundation, which is one of our neighbors here in New York City. Someone with Randall's gifts and influence could use their power to advance their own private interests. Instead, Randall uses his power to create space for marginalized people in the US and across the world to show up in their full colors. He works to dignify LGBTQIA people of faith in a world that's still far too often hostile to us. And he leads the philanthropic community in acknowledging that people of faith, especially affirming people of faith, are essential to the outworking of justice. What our movement respects in Randall is his deep commitment to the LGBTQIA community, his wholehearted faith in the ability of the church to become more just, to become more healing for more people, literally to become part of the repairing of the world. His colleagues recognize his clarity about his personal mission, his quiet and steady joy, his ability to persist in the journey towards human rights for all, despite opposition, political setbacks, and overt hatred. What always stands out in Randall's work, one colleague said to me, is that he continuously tries to put at the center those populations that have been left behind, those who aren't normally supported by the mainstream, and he supports them with a chance to grow and have their voices heard. He has devoted his life to bridging communities at the intersections of social justice in a way that is inclusive for all. Thank you, Randall, for keeping your hand on the gospel plow, for his pioneering work at the intersection of global religions and LGBT equality, and for his continuing leadership among affirming Christians and other people of faith. I'm pleased to present the Intersections Award for Courage in Pursuit of Social Justice to Dr. Randall Miller.
That was one of the best introductions I have ever had. That was just amazing. Never say that a PhD won't do something for you, for the community. So, wow, that was just amazing. Thank you so much, Intersections, for having me here tonight. I'm a grant maker and a funder, at least in this iteration of my career and of my life. And it's not often that we get to stand on stage and talk about the work that we do. We are the folks who should be the folks who stand behind the advocates on the front line. And although, as Keisha said, I have been an advocate on the front line, my work in the past 10 years has been to be a supporter behind the scenes. And so I'm grateful for this rare moment of stepping forward and talking about what I do. In my previous iteration for 6 years, I taught 3-hour courses to graduate students at the Pacific School of Religion. So I can go on and on and on and on, but I have prepared remarks so that I'll exit the stage on time. As I said, I want to thank Intersections so much for this incredible honor. I was moved 6 months ago when Bob Chase informed me of Intersection International's intention of honoring me in this way. And as I look out now upon so many outstanding leaders in their own right who are in the audience tonight, including my fellow awardees, I am even more moved. More than a decade ago, my good friend, colleague, and eventually my boss, Tim Sweeney, tapped me to lead a funding initiative that over the course of almost 7 years provided $10 million to faith-based organizations working to promote the full acceptance of LGBT people in the U.S., and later to shift the hearts and minds of religious folk around the issue of marriage equality. The capstone of that initiative was an ambitious project that funded a first-of-its-kind survey of senior clergy in mainline Protestantism regarding their attitudes and beliefs about LGBT equality, and brought together national church leaders, I've seen some of you in this room, to talk with each other about what could be done. What we discovered in that groundbreaking survey was that about a third of mainline Protestant clergy leaned towards supporting LGBT equality, but for a variety of reasons were afraid to speak out. And at the same time, we learned that people in the pews were saying, mostly to themselves, that they wanted their clergy person to step out in faith, to lead the way in moving their congregations through some very difficult conversations. Based on these key insights, the messaging team for our project, led by none other than Bob Chase, and advised by a team of national faith leaders, some of whom are in the room tonight, designed a messaging campaign aimed at encouraging pastors to talk honestly with their congregations about the need to welcome and fully embrace LGBT people, despite old religious traditions that suggest still today that LGBT people are less than. What we also learned in that groundbreaking survey was that most of the denominations in mainline Protestantism were at a crucial tipping point, and that by pairing what became known as the Believe Out Loud campaign with the on-the-ground organizing of advocacy, faith-based advocacy LGBT groups, real, lasting change was possible. Sadly, it doesn't happen very often in philanthropy that what you do as a funder makes a visible difference. But what the Believe Out Loud campaign and the on-the-ground advocacy achieved together was nothing short of remarkable. Together, they solidified the progress towards full LGBT acceptance that was already taking place in the UCC and Episcopalian Church. Further, in fairly short order, the church policies that legally precluded full acceptance in the Presbyterian and Lutheran churches came tumbling down. And I'm convinced that the faith-based advocacy that turned the tide within mainline Protestantism became crucial to achieving marriage equality at state and finally the national level. Religion, you see, is a complicated thing. It can be either used to wound other people and keep them in chains, or it can be used to heal people and lift them up, to teach people to fly. And long, long ago, I decided that come what may, I wanted to be a part of teaching people how to fly. I would be remiss if I left this podium without saying a few more thank yous. Thank you to all of the Intersections and Believe Out Loud staff over the 10 years who turned a dream into reality. Thank you to Bob Chase for all that you have done on so many fronts for so long. Thank you to my current employer, the Arcus Foundation, and to our donor and founder, John Stryker, for holding the vision of a better world to come. And specifically to Jason McGill, Arcus's co-executive director, who couldn't make it tonight, who enticed me back into philanthropy after a 6-year break in academia. And finally, to my wonderful partner of 26 years, Glenn Eagleson, who for 5 years has been my spouse and whose love for me is the wellspring of all that I do. I can never say thanks enough. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to us as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all, these courageous people, beaten down, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, none alien, these people will be remembered. Oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of their lives, the lives fleshing the dream of the beautiful, needful thing. Thank you so much, and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Intersections International Governing Board Secretary Marcia Feingold.
The governing board and staff of Intersections and the collegiate church family are excited to continue delivering innovative outreach, brokering crucial dialogues, educating and advocating in meaningful ways, building our sustainability and leading Intersections into the next decade of public witness and extraordinary impact. We are very near the end of our executive director selection process, which has introduced us to some truly, truly amazing individuals tackling injustices in various arenas. We are confident of the important contributions Intersections will continue to make on the national and international stage. So be on the lookout in the coming weeks for an opportunity to join us in welcoming our new executive director. In the meantime, you can directly support the Intersections programs that mean the most to you. On your table, you will find a giving menu that looks very much like this, maybe not quite as pens, but like this. So this is your giving menu. So whether you are passionate about service together, our work re-engaging returning veterans with civilians, or believe out loud, championing LGBTQ rights and inclusivity in the church, or deepening our connections through arts and the humanities, or global peacemaking, our inter-religious dialogues and our collaborations with Native people, I encourage you to peruse our giving menu and determine what projects you might support. Whether an appetizer, an entree, or a dessert offering, this work is vital. It's vital, and your contributions are so appreciated. So please do what you are able to do, and then a bit more. Thank you sincerely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Intersection's Internal Chief Operating Officer, Lucretia Holden.
Good evening. We are almost in the home stretch. Before there was Kendall Jenner, Giselle Butchum, and Lee Nguyen, there was our next honoree, Bibi Russell. Bibi Russell was one of few women in the fashion industry who influenced me as an aspiring fashion illustrator, designer, and petite model. I grew up admiring images of Bibi in Harper's Bazaar, Marie Claire, and Vogue magazines. Little did I know as an adolescent that this striking woman would one day be a major game changer in the fashion industry. The third of 5 siblings, Bibi was the first Bangladeshi to study at the prestigious London College of Fashion. She spent her first year attending classes all day and night and worked various jobs on the weekend to support herself. Shortly after graduation, with a little encouragement from her college professor, Bibi pursued a modeling career with the goal of gaining more understanding of the fashion world. She landed coveted contracts with high fashion designers like Valentino, Yves Saint Laurent, Karl Lagerfeld, Gianni Versace, Izzy Miyake, and Kenzo. After making her mark in the world of modeling and fashion, Bibi returned to her beloved Bangladesh. She spent 2 years traveling the country and getting to know scores of talented artisans. She learned their languages and dialect and their ways of life, but most importantly, she took the time to earn their trust. She also learned the traditional tools of the trade and established Bibi Productions, a fashion house that fuses indigenous Bengali elements and promotes her beauty of her country to the rest of the world. Bibi believes that when a person grows, their dream grows too, and her dream was to serve and preserve the heritage of her country by fostering creativity, providing employment, empowering women, and contributing towards the eradication of poverty. Bibi believes that poverty is not a disease, that it can gradually overcome step by step. Over the past 12 years, her fashion house has some 30 staff members with well over 90,000 craftsmen in rural Bangladesh. Talk about an economic stimulus action plan, and that's not even 1% of the weavers in the country. Bibi's campaigns, Fashion for Development and Positive Bangladesh, clearly illustrate how she lifts up the products of the weavers of Bangladesh beyond borders. In March of this year, on the eve of International Women's Day, acid attack survivors strutted down the catwalk during Bibi Russell's fashion show, Beauty Redefined, in an effort to draw attention to the brutal practice. Redefining traditional notions of beauty, these courageous women showcased hand-woven Bangladeshi designs. There is no doubt that Bibi's work and legacy will be carried on by her people. She modestly says, if she has even one bit of success, she owes it to her country. It was her dream to return home and help her people. So tonight, it is our hope that Bibi Russell's passion and drive will inspire you to recommit yourselves to change the world using your expertise and influence to transform social and economic development in your own communities. Now, without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to present the Intersections Award for Social and Economic Transformation to the incomparable woman who rocks, Miss Bibi Russell.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Intersection. Bob, thank you. Glad I met you in Kazakhstan, no? Thank you. Thank you for giving me the honor before. You know, after that, still I'm not even first step in the ladder. So I need all of you to pray. I work day and night, wanted to show that today in this world we need doctors, engineers, we need intellectual, we need people like me. Because none of you could have come here. There's nice food, nice people, nice music, but could you have come here naked? No. You need a piece of cloth to cover your pride. With that, I'm making social, economical development, sustainable income, better livelihood. You know, everyone who sees me say to me, you come from Bangladesh. It's one of the poorest countries. There are misery, there are this, there are that. I don't need to show you that. You know, I specially dressed up today. Everything what I'm wearing except my watch and my shoes, all handmade, made by the people. Okay, so I don't need to show you the poverty or the misery. I am showing you the beauty. The beauty lies on poverty. You can see in my eyes. I had a very tough time. I'm doing a very difficult work. But the joy I have, you can see on me. That is what I want to show you, not the poverty. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And all the countries I'm working in many countries, you know, just to show the joy. I want to tell you the last thing. You know, maybe I'm not earning anything. I'm still not first step in the ladder, but my mental satisfaction is there. I don't need to take a sleeping tablet to go to sleep. Okay? If I sleep 1 hour, I really sleep. Next day, I get up to see what I'm going to see. Thank you again, everyone. Bob, I'm much, much touched. This will give me a lot of strength to continue. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonoma Parla Greco. 10 years ago, when I was only a year old, my grandfather brought me up on stage for the very first time. The occasion was his installation as founding director of Intersections. I look a little different, but Grandpa looks the same. Since then, he has gone on to do many amazing things. You may think that I'm just saying this because I'm his granddaughter, but take a look at what some other people had to say.
Hi, Bob. It's Vargas. Congratulations on your retirement and your noble work spanning 10 years advancing social justice at Intersections International. Starting with our Senate Anti-Poverty Working Group here in Washington, D.C., to our Iraqi Voices Amplification Project, to our work bridging the divide between Islam and the West, Intersections has been noted for building bridges and peace, and that has been your doing. Thank you.
you called me up and asked me to join you on the ultimate adventure, moving to New York City and starting a new nonprofit. And I asked you, what will this nonprofit do? And you said, we'll figure it out. Come be part of my team. And I said, yes.
I have never seen anyone operate in an organization the way that you have. You have made a point to have a very diverse staff, and you've managed to connect those dots with different organizations that seemed like we wouldn't have anything in common with, but you found the common ground. Everything from what was happening in the Middle East to what was happening here in New York at Ground Zero to the LGBTQ community, you have always managed to have your finger on the pulse.
Bob, I think you've made a mark on the world by creating what was referred to as a startup and leaving it as a sustainable organization that has a very tangible impact. I'm speaking for the arts program, look at what Uniform Justice has done, starting from, just Memphis, Tennessee, and then ended up being a tour to different cities and an overall initiative where we've created more plays. That's a huge deal, and that's all because of you and your vision.
You could have chosen to do absolutely anything in the world with your life and been wildly successful. And it's always made a big impression on me that you chose the field of faith-based social justice to invest all of your many talents into. And I felt so blessed and honored to have a role model and mentor in my life who has made these kinds of choices, where you're so engaged in a field that is dirty and difficult and disappointing a lot of the time. So thank you so much for making those choices and having such an esteemed career in which you made such a big difference in so many people's lives in so many different ways.
Bob, I've seen the impact that you've had on others. Here's an example. We sat in a room with about 300 or 400 people in Astana, Kazakhstan. And you began to talk, and you could feel that the shift in the room changed, even though there were translators translating every word that you said. You could tell that the words that you were speaking were ideas and concepts that these folk had never heard before. But because of your presence, and because of your truth, and because of your stature in faith, they listened. And things changed after that. The very next year we went back, and all of the things that you had recommended, they had instituted as a part of this experience in Kazakhstan.
When I first met you, it was kind of an astounding meeting. I came in and I said, I've got this idea, and I'd like to combine the insight approach to conflict transformation with the performing arts, and, talked a little bit about what I thought Taya could be. And you said, yes, let's wonder about this together. Yes, let's collaborate on this. And that is what you bring to creating peace and justice in this world, is a real exquisite yesness.
When I wanted to go to the Middle East and lift up the voices of Iraqi refugees, you said yes and put money and resources at my disposal. And when I came back, you supported the creation of plays, of modern dance pieces, of art installations that really lifted up these stories.
One of the things I'm so grateful for that you allowed me to do is bring my past as a performer and an actor and a singer into this work, and you gave it value when oftentimes in organizations like this it's not valued, and that's definitely changed my life and my perspective. So now it's not just about my work in the LGBTQ community, but now I know that there's a value for me in the veteran community and working with our international programming. It's incredible. It's been really empowering.
We always called Bob Chase, which seemed like a perfect name for him. He was always chasing the next cause or social injustice, looking over the next hill, looking around the corner, which I guess isn't too hard if you're 6'8".
Bob is a force of nature. He has the kind of personality that draws people in and that causes them to be better than they are and to hope for better things.
Bob has provided tremendous benefits to the world, especially US-Pakistan interaction and relation, and he will always be a tolling figure. He's already very tall. We could never find anyone who is taller than him. But by virtue of his work, by virtue of his contribution, he stands even taller among the rest.
He had a kind of vision that enabled this extraordinary program to happen. I've never even heard of this kind of activity happening anywhere else in the world. It's his insight and his vision that really made this possible, so I'm grateful.
The relationship that my dad had with Bob Chase was a special and loving one, and I want that special and loving relationship to continue with him through me. I love you, Bob.
Assalamu alaikum, Bob. Greetings from Islamabad, Pakistan. Bob, I just want to thank you for all the work that we've done together over the past 6 years. It's truly been the privilege and the honor of my career to have been able to work so closely with you, Bob. You remind me of God's love truly in the world, and your deeds have inspired me and so many others, and we look forward to the next inspirational stage in your journey. Thank you so much, Bob. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum. Lots of love.
Bob, you showed me that anything is possible, even when it seems like the cards are stacked against you, that you can make it happen.
We'll make it work, somehow. And that's what is so unique about you, and I feel like is oftentimes missing from kind of our world today, is like, we can do this. We can do this.
Walking the talk. Your belief in human dignity and equality infuses and is embodied in everything that Intersection's done and has taught me. That there is no work too small, no project too ordinary. Not to stop and look and making sure that the diversity of humanity isn't also embedded in that work and in that project. How it works and how it looks. That is you, and that is what you taught all of us.
I learned so much from you about being a good human being. I learned about having compassion, about looking for commonalities instead of seeing differences. I learned about finding ways to forge common ground when it just didn't seem possible. I learned about my own voice and the power that I had when I spoke up. You always were there cheering me on and encouraging me to take my next step.
Who would have thought you're asking me to give a 2-year commitment to Intersections would turn into almost 8.5 years later? You have done so much for me, and I am forever grateful for that.
It's just one thing, one additional thing that I want to say to you, Bob, is that you will always be my friend. And the experiences that we've had together have touched my heart. From you and Blythe helping me to find my family, to listening to me at times where I really felt like nobody else would listen to me or really understand. We've been through a lot, my friend. You will always be my friend. You will always be in my heart. You will always be a part of my life.
A very, very powerful and truthful testimony to you, my brother. And it's true, with all that Bob has done in so many people's lives. Just a couple of months ago, I, after 66 years, had the glorious opportunity to be reunited with my birth family. And Bob, along with his lovely wife, Blythe, created the opportunity for me to find my family, and also took the time and the effort to bless us by creating the opportunity for my brothers and sisters to be here tonight. And so I am reunited tonight with my brothers and sisters, the Barney family, all because of you, Bob and Blythe, and my thanks to the many, many people who donated money so that they could be here. This is the kind of heart that my brother, Bob Chase, has. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Blythe. Thank you, Barneys. Bob, will you come up? We used to love to do this, actually. We talked about together we exemplify all of the possibilities of life. Bob, my dear friend, in honor of your commitment and vision to tirelessly and unwaveringly move forward innovative and relevant programming that has addressed the challenges and opportunities of our historical realities while at the same time endeavoring to create safe space and a learning laboratory for those seeking insight and a practical roadmap for gaining experience in unique ways to enrich social justice engagement in the world. We establish in your honor the Reverend Robert J. Chase Internship for Innovation in Social Justice. I'd like to invite all of Bob's Intersections family to join us on stage. Please come up, staff and members that have been a part of staff, I invite you to come up, and I invite my drummers to join us on stage. But first, a few words from Bob.
They didn't tell me I was supposed to say a few words. Yeah, I know.
Because I'm an improviser.
That's right. We'll make it work somehow. All I can say is just from the bottom of my heart, just a huge thank you to all of you. As I said earlier, you're the ones who made this journey possible. You're the ones who made this journey beautiful. And I am deeply, deeply grateful. And so for each and every one of you, and to all those persons who were on the screen and said those wonderful things, my colleagues and friends, thank you so much. I will treasure this night forever. Carry it with me. And folks, we have work to do out there, so let's roll up our sleeves and do it together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. I'd like to invite Lucretia, Tracy, all those folk, the family members, come on up, the Intersections family members, those past and present. Please join us on the stage. And as you know, a big part of who we are as we close this evening is to improvise and lift our voices. One of the things that I really, really love is the reality that, you know, things that oftentimes seem challenging can be made to be a work of beauty. An example of that is Article 22, the Peace Bomb Initiative. And I'd like to acknowledge Miss Elizabeth Suda and their vision to take the instruments of war, bombs from Laos, and turn them into objects of beauty. And so as we finish tonight, we lift our voices, and I'd like to invite my brother Eric to join me on the stage too. Eric, come on up. Eric, a fantastic singer. Spread yourselves out. And I'm gonna pass some of those out. There's some lyrics to a song called Let Every Voice Sing. And so we end tonight allowing ourselves to let every voice sing. And I'm gonna sing it to you, and I want y'all, shh. We're gonna sing together because we believe, and this is one thing that Intersections is really about, is let every voice be heard. Let everyone sing. Let everyone be a part of that chorus of unity and oneness, however you enter the circle of song, however you enter the family of song. Come on up, Eric. It goes like this. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. That's going to be your part, okay? Here we go. Ready? Play. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. Sing. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. Let every voice sing. We've come so far on our journey together. Sing. Let every voice sing. We've come so far on our journey together. Hand in hand we stand to be a beacon in the night. Sing. Hand in hand we stand to be a beacon in the night. For that is our legacy. To let every voice sing. Here we go. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. Let every voice sing. We've come so far on our journey together. Hand in hand we stand to be a beacon in the night. Let every voice sing. Let every voice sing. One more time, here we go. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. Let every voice sing. We've come so far on our journey together. Hand in hand we stand to be a beacon in the night. For this is our legacy. Let every voice sing. So, my friends, the evening has come to an end. We thank each and every one of you for being dedicated to intersections and the gala tonight. We thank all our honorees and supporters, our board, our staff, and everyone. So tomorrow is a new day, and we'll let every voice sing. Let every voice sing. We honor the past and embrace tomorrow. Let every voice sing. We've come so far on our journey together. Hand in hand we stand to be a beacon in the night. For this is our destiny. Let every voice sing. One more time we'll go. Let every voice sing. Here we go, ready? Let every voice sing. We love you, we love you. Thank you all. Thank you, honorees. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Don't forget to check the table to see if you won that object that you wanted so badly. Safe travels. We love you so very, very much. Thanks to all of you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone on the stage. We love you. Have a great night. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Let everyone